So hi, I'm Sharon O'Neill. Welcome to the Tavio Analyst Relations Update. At the end of the presentation, we'll have a Q&A. Please log your questions in the Q&A button. If you don't have it on your screen, it's under the More area. And if you have further questions or deeper briefing requests, please let me know and I'll be happy to set that up. And now I'd like to introduce you to the Tavio CFO, Paul.
Thank you, Sharon. On the one in the middle, I want to welcome all the participants on today's webinar. We appreciate that you are here and participating, and we look forward to talking about Tavio, our iPaaS technical market, our product vision, and how we're approaching the market with our technology solution. The highlight of today's webinar will be the presentation of a success case with one of our valued customers, BambooHR by Zach States. So we're looking forward to that and hope you are as well. So we're going to you can go to the next slide, Heather. We're going to cover these topics today, and I won't spend much time on the agenda, so you can go to the next slide. Thanks. First, we want to examine some of the market drivers and what we see as being core tensions that drive our market today. We refer to that as data chaos, and particularly in the HR technology market, which is where we were based initially, we saw that the integration market had evolved to manage the existence of massive amounts of data across numerous business applications used by mid-market and enterprise organizations. Those applications often contain variations of the same data, and but nevertheless require interoperability, and that can cause data conflict, among other things. And so, in addition to this, integration complexity is further driven by some of the usual suspects. These are internal SaaS sprawl, so organizations that have many business applications, opaque B2B networks, and often isolated data legacy silos. Today, there's a very significant new accelerant, which you see on the left side of the slide here, which is AI copilots. AI enables very, very fast and inexpensive point-to-point integration creation by almost anyone. So think business users creating or generating scripts on the fly and integrating to applications that they use. So it can be done very fast. We've tested it, obviously, as you can imagine, with third-party AI apps, and we can build integrations incredibly quick. But it starts to create that in and of itself starts to create byproducts that are not desired. So the seeds of creation becomes a start of what we think about as a massive enterprise trap, which is which you can see in the center, where there are unmapped APIs, there's cloned workflows, undocumented calls, all easily generated by AI. So the belief that integrations being created quickly is good, but it can create quite a mess of data, and data that's ungoverned and data that's not standardized. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this brings us to what we see as a fundamental flaw in the market today, and it corresponds with the way we approach it. The core philosophy of our platform is that Tavio will not build icebergs for our clients. So we will not create the cost icebergs where the bulk of the risk lies beneath the surface. And to explain that a little bit more, is most SaaS application vendors that choose to build their own integrations in-house, or that use quick and easy middleware solutions, again, think unified API platforms, we think are following an illusion of simplicity. So they focus on visible short-term expectations like winning a deal or building a single point-to-point connection for a new client that's been acquired. On the surface, it seems simple enough, the top of the iceberg, but this is, in fact, just the tip of the real cost. There's much more below the surface, and we refer to that, we all refer to that as total cost of ownership of integrations. But to us, this is really the hidden reality that no one's thinking about when they get into building integrations themselves internally with internal teams. So when vendors use in-house approaches, they can easily fall into the trap of customizing integrations for each client that they've acquired. So they're following client level requirements, and ultimately they mutate what's an initially standard integration into a unique integration that results in customized code forks for each client with literal repeatability that can be solved at the configuration layer. So effectively, each client integration, even between common connectors, is standalone and requires independent maintenance rather than maintenance at an API or config level. This is expensive. As the number of client integrations increases, the in-house integration teams face a babysitting drain because now they have to maintain all of these integrations. One industry analyst, who might be in this room, estimates that the average enterprise uses nearly 900 software applications across their entire ecosystem. And yet a significant percentage, 71%, are completely unintegrated. So that puts pressure on new SaaS vendors in an effort to win deals in a fragmented application environment to build custom connectors and integrations. But that puts pressure on those SaaS vendors, and some industry benchmarks estimate that mid-market and enterprise SaaS companies today routinely waste over 50% of their core R&D capacity just maintaining integrations and troubleshooting APIs and API changes, rather than shipping new core features. This is significant. None of the SaaS vendors in HR, tech, supply chain, manufacturing, retail, finance expected to be equally shipping integrations as shipping new code. They want to ship new code and let the integrations be solved in a much more efficient way. But if they do it themselves, they're not going to achieve that. So eventually, these companies can hit a wall where their R&D teams are paralyzed because they're dealing with resolving integration technical debt instead of shipping new product. Our Tavio, our architectural approach ensures that enterprise and SaaS vendor clients never build this cost iceberg. We provide a standardized embedded control platform, and that helps these vendors to pull that wasted R&D capacity out of maintenance and back to product innovation. Go to the next slide, please. So AI has brought significant benefits and challenges to every market, not just integrations, although it is the most important. So when we look at the core tension in the market today, we look at this as being an AI integration paradox. On the one hand, if you look at the bottom of the slide here, the bottom axis, the cost to build a simple point-to-point integration connection, the actual writing of the script, is rapidly approaching $0. AI copilots are very effective at making basic pipeline generation incredibly fast and cheap. Again, we validated this ourselves. But as you know, as we see and as we are demonstrating on the top curve, the greenish one, the ease of creating integrations is resulting in a significant increase in the very data chaos that they're meant to solve. They're creating a corresponding need for data governance with all this data that's now accessible through quickly built integrations. But if there's no governance and it's unmanaged, that can create again chaos. All the while creating increased long-term maintenance costs. So the maintenance cost with the number of integrations will go up more quickly than the cost to build those integrations goes down. So when you mix internal SaaS apps, B2B networks, data legacy silos, and now AI agents generating undocumented code, what can result is a spider web, if you will, of brittle data acquisition scripts and cloned workflows, but again, ungoverned, undocumented. This should be worrying for centralized IT as it creates security blind spots, users can create shadow integrations, and ultimately, they can create an exponentially increasing maintenance task for the organization, whether it's a vendor or it's an end user. The key insight here for investors and analysts, we think, is that while AI makes creating integrations easier, and again, it does, it makes trusting those very integrations and the data produced by them more difficult. So the trust is a key term that we're going to continue to emphasize today. Organizations should not task, we believe, autonomous agents to execute multi-system workflows without a structured policy-governed control plane. Because of this, the true market value will begin to shift away from who can build the fastest pipe most quickly to who can govern and operate an integration ecosystem most securely. Historically, demand for integrations came from business users with too many workflows to manage across multiple applications. Today, we see greater demand for governance and trust of data and processes. This is going to increase. This dynamic will continue and will become more emphasized by buyers. So it's important to ensure that AI-enabled workflow orchestration follows policy governance to secure data and information. And this is an important part of what Tavio provides via our iPaaS platform offering. Next slide, please. So as I said, because of the AI paradox, we're seeing buyers shift. What used to be pretty simple, simple conversation driven by an IT buyer, it was viewed as plumbing. We need a connection between these two systems. Please enable it. How fast can we build it? As the market matured, the ability to link numerous applications within a single line of business for the buyer became more emphasized, and there was an increased focus on automating workflows to save time. And of course, along with that workflow automation came data transformation and data integration as well. But today we're at what we think is a more significant step in the buying conversation, particularly for enterprise buyers, enterprise organizations, and the vendors that serve them, because the conversation around governance, data governance, and policy adherence is elevated to the C-suite and to the office of the CIO. And in part because this technical SaaS sprawl, or rather because of SaaS sprawl and the explosion of AI agents, no one's really just asking how to secure apps, connect two apps. That's table stakes. That's easy to do. My teenage son could do that, right? Or teenage daughter. They're asking, how do we secure, scale, and monitor a massive multi-enterprise, multi-environment data ecosystem? That's a much bigger question, and that's a question that Tavio is solving, and Jeff's going to talk a lot more about, and you're going to see how Bamboo's applying that themselves. So we see that data sovereignty, cryptographic isolation, and runtime governance are no longer just IT details. These are critical business mandates that need to be solved by an integration platform as a service provider. And any firm that's providing AI-driven workflow orchestration. So when we walk into a deal, we aren't pitching a faster wrench for the IT plumber. We're really selling an enterprise governance platform to the office of the CIO. And that shift in the buyer profile is dramatically increasing deal sizes, deal requirements, strategic stickiness, and ultimately long-term relationships with the vendors who implement the Tavio platform, our buyers. You can go to the next slide, please. So briefly about Tavio, our vision and execution. How does our strategic vision translate into real-world execution? It requires our ability to scale and leverage a unique R&D foundation. So first, the footprint on which this is all based is the merger of Joined and the Cloud Connectors. Together, we've more than 1,200 active customers running more than 6,000 live integrations in production. And they're running mission-critical multi-enterprise workflows that cover integrations between recruiting, payroll, assessments, background checks, sourcing, engagement, new hire onboarding, and as well across the hall over where the supply chain team is sitting. We're enabling highly critical EDI transactions, enabling transportation of physical merchandise across North America and globally. So a very different end result. Stuff gets from place to place, as well as people joining organizations and interacting with the multiple applications those organizations use. Second, we've officially completed the merger of our two platforms, unifying the Joined and TCC infrastructures into a single control platform, integration control platform. For us, this wasn't just a back-end infrastructure project, though. It was a massive learning exercise. So we're actively leveraging the complexity of the merger and all of the components of it to train and build AI capabilities, our AI capabilities. We're using a massive amount of internal knowledge bases and best practices to teach our AI agents how to effectively build workflows. And in addition to convert legacy logic, map data across applications, and generate complex integration specifications automatically. So we're excited about our AI agents and how that they'll be used and the power they'll bring to the already very powerful and modern Tavio platform. Finally, we're rapidly expanding our architecture to handle deep supply chain demands, specifically hybrid EDI and AS2 environments. Right now, we're executing a massive customer EDI migration, moving them from legacy systems directly onto the Tavio platform. And just like the platform merger itself, we're treating this enormous migration as a real-world training ground to further sharpen our AI's ability to map and convert legacy data formats. We hope for you the takeaway is clear. We aren't building AI in a theoretical vacuum. We're using our own substantial real-world execution events and knowledge to build a highly effective enterprise-ready AI solution. Next slide, please. Finally, the way that we are bringing this to market, in part, is through a dual architecture solution. So we've effectively decentralized the traditional enterprise integration platform bottleneck, which is the deployment of integrations. We intentionally engineered the Tavio iPaaS experience to serve two very different, specific, persona-driven environments or groups of people. On the left, first, the Tavio Studio functions as the builder. It's a code-native development environment that's tailored specifically for engineers and architects. So the environment allows high-level technical talent to develop reusable logic via our proprietary data manipulation language, which we call IDML, to manage broad and deep data variables and to institutionalize master workflows. The Tavio Studio provides granular control for technical teams that doesn't necessitate architectural compromise. So it's deep and broad, and it's not a shortcut platform. Complementarily, on the right, that's a word. The Tavio Hub is the operator. So this is a no-code configuration center designed for implementation specialists, customer success managers, and other business users. Within the hub, non-technical personnel can manage the last mile of an integration down to the customer deployment. They can adjust specific client-level settings and oversee real-time data integrity, all while keeping the core engineering code secure and untouched. So this is part of the no-code branching philosophy that we follow. No custom code, dead ends and one-offs, but doing so in a user-friendly environment. For analysts and investors here, this dual architecture represents a powerful efficiency layer. It ensures that the expensive R&D resources that are employed by large enterprises and by the software vendors that serve them, that those resources remain dedicated to core innovation. And so in our own studio, smaller teams will be able to run the studio without depleting product development resources, and client-facing teams will be able to use the hub as another tool in their arsenal to accelerate onboarding of integrations through the hub. So we're empowering these organizations with both technical sophistication and an operational agility, all within a unified platform. We're excited to talk more about it, and to do that, I'm going to turn this over to Jeff, our CTO.
Thank you, Paul. All right, so let's move to the architecture that allows customers to scale without having to scale at the same time their integration engineering team or data as a configuration model. So for the analysts in the room, this is our primary structural moat. So most integration platform iPaaS, if not all, forces you to create custom code forks for every new client requirements that have basically different data. They require different data requirements or different logic, means you're branching out, you create custom code. This is the fundamental problem that we're solving. So we are not, if you do that, we believe it completely destroy your margins as you scale. So we take a fundamentally different approach. We allow customer to build master workflow or workflows that can be packaged together as a solution. They can be controlled, version control, everything can be tracked and distributed to customers. This is powered by our integration language, IDML, which acts as a structural foundation. It separates the core integration logic from customer-specific variation, so that the master engine that processes integration on our side will it's able to process differently the integration code versus the schemas, the model, and the rules that are act strictly as data and configuration on the fly, basically, which means every single customer runs on the exact same code core branch, yet they can still have vastly different data requirements and behavior. So on the left, you see the second critical piece of the architecture, which is our deployment control plane, embedded management API. So it's a programmatic control plane to automate the provisioning and all the customers and manage this, these data as configuration profile and to be distributed. Alternatively, as Paul described, business and implementation team can manage the exact same deployment process by using the Tavio Hub. And crucially, these can be used in combination. So a software vendor might programmatically spin up hundreds of tenants for their customers and distribute their solution. And then the customer success team can go in there and manage final client-specific configuration directly within the hub, or customer themselves can go in and actually modify and change their integration, anything that is considered configuration, so data requirements. So they're not conflicting with each other, they combine each other. So the takeaway for investor is massive operational leverage. The entire customer lifecycle is and can be automated. So you can scale deployment across hundreds of enterprise customer tenants while keeping engineering headcount flat, entirely bypassing the legacy maintenance trap and iceberg, as Paul described. Next slide, please. Thank you. So one of the biggest friction point in enterprise orchestration, especially in sectors like supply chains, is bridging the modern cloud ecosystem with legacy infrastructure. Competitors force you into a modern API only box, or leave you with opaque legacy events type of thing, or both are treated as separate product. It's like two different things and they don't necessarily overlap, so you need to manage both separately. We took a different approach, so we unified both. On our platform, you can see that we can process AS2, X12, EDI, large document, or a flat file, or that EDI can be over a flat file SFTP. It's the exact same architectures and the same processing as a JSON webhook for more modern. Everything goes through the same pipe you can use, and all of this combination can be used for distributing through our embedded API and everything. So there's no limits, and it's one interface for everything, legacy or modern. And we can bridge with the old world with our powerful on-premise agents that can interact with on-prem system. So again, even on-prem systems can be, we can distribute solutions for them as well, the exact same way as any of modern solution. So for investors, this massively expands our total addressable market, so we can capture infrastructure modernization budgets in complex multi-enterprise environment with a pure scalable model. Next one, please. So let's turn to our AI strategy. So the market is currently flooded with generic LLMs, wrappers, but the reality is that autonomous agents simply cannot safely execute multi-system workflows in the wild. Our roadmap is built to solve this exact problem. In phase one, we're delivering AI-assisted build. As Paul's saying, we're using our internal migration projects to fuel our AI knowledge and build our AI to being able to build workflows. So we're trying to reduce the cost of entry, build faster, build solutions faster, being able to distribute them faster with AI powered. Phase two, agentic design. So now using AI to optimize those workflows that were created. Are they performing as you want from a just pure execution time perspective? Or your data ratio, the actual success rate, up to the par? And the beauty of this is, again, with our model, is you can create multiple versions of those integration and mass distribute them. You're not stuck with one-off and having to maintain all those customers one at a time. You can actually mass maintain, mass distribute. So our phase two, optimization. Phase three, this is the real differentiator, and we believe our next structural moat. So governance. Every AI capability will execute within our Tavio Trust Foundation. So we want to enforce strict operational boundaries and policy-driven rails on agent execution. So for analyst investor, the takeaway is this: we see, AI will exponentially increase the volume of integration that are being built. But Tavio we don't see ourselves as just an AI generator. We want to provide the definitive policy enforced governance layer to ensure next generation of systems will still be secure, observable, and production ready. Next one. Thank you. So if we dig into that third one, or Tavio Trust policy. So as Paul described, we don't think that the systems moving data from point A to point B is no longer enough. We must prove compliance continuously. So Tavio Trust is an embedded real-time governance layer designed to evaluate in-flight data against strict corporate and regulatory policies. So we're actively building 3 key components here. The first component is real-time validation. So thinking again, because we do data as a configuration, we can run this data on the fly and validate it against policy. So what we're building is policy injections where you can consume policy, transform it into actual code machine rules that can be evaluated, and then you can evaluate your data as configuration against those policies. So, and then real-time validation. So automatically they detect if rules are broken. Second is, part of Tavio Trust is our strict tenant isolation. That's already in place, but we provide enterprise-grade security architecture. We do have ART isolation. We can isolate data and processing of any end customers on the platform. Everybody's isolated, and we want to empower business with the hub, where you can view and control those data, any integration, control the data that is going through, and then control the policy. That's our vision. And then finally, our Tavio Trust agents will continuously monitor complex business rule like payroll or logistic compliance, anything you want to apply and check, basically, without ever altering the underlying integration code and logic. So again, separation of code versus configuration. Policies and rules will be applied as configuration against the data as configuration, and can be evaluated in runtime. So we're never losing the scalability and not building iceberg. That's our vision. So for investors, this is the capability that unlocks enterprise AI adoptions as we see it. So we're not allowing full compliance as integration is multiplying in the space, basically. Next one. So where do we sit in the market? We see the market as kind of forced, painful compromise for customers. In the top left, traditional iPaaS solution like Workato or Boomi, they offer high technical depth. However, they require manual custom code for every single customer that has special data requirements. So it's a copy-paste approach, and then you're on a branch. Every time you're an enterprise customers require special processing, special data requirements or behavior, you're on a separate branch. This is what creates the hybrid. Versus in the mid-market, so if you move more to the bottom right, unified API, they'll primarily they primarily emerge in CRM and HR space, so we definitely saw them big time in HR, but they allow for rapid deployment, which is good. But to achieve the speed, they strip away the custom depth. So legacy support, complex edge case logic that actually enterprise rely on. So all the complexity is removed away, and you're stuck with distributing very simple, same integration. We see Tavio as, we're breaking this compromise entirely. We're isolating, on the top right quadrant. We want to provide architectural depth, never compromise on any solution that you want to build, and still provide high scale and compliance validation. So this is the promise of our dual architecture. We want to give engineer co-native powers, build anything that they require with the Tavio Studio, and then the business team to go into Tavio Hub and configure any data requirements and eventually policies that they need to that, so that we see ourselves in that top quadrant, in a special place. And with that, now I'll pass it to Zach from Bamboo, who will describe his experience using the Tavio platform.
Awesome, thank you, Jeff. Yeah, I really appreciate Tavio for letting me come and speak to you guys a little bit about our story and how we've been using Tavio. So just for an introduction, my name is Zach States. I'm a product manager here at Bamboo over integrations, partner products. And BambooHR, we are a people intelligence platform that brings together core HR, payroll, benefits, benefit administration, and talent management. We're serving about 30,000 customers right now, with over 3 million employee records in over 190 different countries. And so um, it's kind of very important to us to have these integrations, especially for our customers in 190 different countries. We offer payroll in the US, but the complexity internationally is really hard and not really something that we're willing to do. So right now our goal is to build to these certain geographies where we can build integrations to help satisfy that need for payroll. So just the old way when we were building integrations before Tavio, we would just build each project in its own, kind of hand built per partner. The logic was scattered. We didn't really have like a repeatable process to build integrations. And the next integration was never really easier than the last one. And it kind of jumped around teams a lot, causing a lot of, a lot of inconsistencies, and it's really hard to maintain something like that. So about a year ago, we became more intentional with our ecosystem and searched out for an iPaaS partner and came across Tavio. And with Tavio, we built 3 integrations for payroll. We actually built them with Zero Payroll in the UK, Australia, and New Zealand. And Tavio is very helpful for us to really understand also what Zero would be expecting, but also build these workflows to help translate the data and make it scalable. So yeah, so we've been live with those 3 integrations. We're not quite scaling. That's why we have about 30 customers live using these integrations today with no marketing. And so it's nice that people naturally found these integrations and been happy with the success that they've seen. Go ahead and go to the next slide, Heather. So some of the ways that we're scaling, because between Zero and BambooHR, there's 1,200 customers that we're going to target as soon as we're ready to scale. And some of the stuff that we've done is use this embedded API. And so that as soon as a customer installs the integration, what the customer sees is they install the integration, they go through their authentication, and then they're ready to choose which employees sync, which is pretty fast and seamless for the customer, so they can continue to do their day-to-day jobs. But in the background, we're using these embedded APIs to create the environments, deploy the bundles, deploy the workflows, and set up all the credentials that we need. And it's really nice to not have to have somebody from Bamboo involved in creating these, and it all is set up with the APIs. We've also, in order to scale, we've been really needing the observability. So we've been tying our current systems into Tavio just to kind of have some visibility into the integrations and what's going on, and also like catch any errors that our customers are seeing before they get reported, and we can jump on those and get those resolved quickly. We've also used AI to assist us in these builds and kind of optimize these workflows and see what we can do on our side to make the process better. So overall, it's been a really good experience to work with Tavio in the things that we've been doing. And kind of next for BambooHR is we're working on like a self-service deployment for us internally, so that when we do any updates to bundles or workflows, we can deploy those in mass, which makes it really easy so that, if there's a new feature or something that we've built out, it hits all the customers at the same time, which is great. And we'll continue to use Tavio to build other integrations to fill the gaps that we don't have in our product with these other third parties. So I'm looking forward to it. And with that, I'll turn it back to Jeff.
Thank you, Zach. This is awesome to hear. So really glad. So as you see that, Bamboo for us is exactly using the system that we're trying to build. And, for us, our North Star is very clear. We're building the definitive integration control platform for multi-enterprise environment. To reach that destination, our entire product roadmap and market strategies are driven by 3 guiding principles. The first is build faster. So with no compromise on capabilities. We want to accelerate engineering by leveraging Tavio Studio and our AI-assisted developer tools to build faster. The second is reuse smarter. That's what makes us different. We eliminate the customization trap by using Tavio Hub, our embedded API, and our data as configuration concepts are modeled to distribute integration across tenants safely and programmatically. And each customer can be customized, but you're on the same code, basically, so you don't multiply your code. And then the third principle that we think secures the future is operate with compliance. Through Tavio Trust, we want to provide real-time governance and strict tenant isolation to continue to provide. So those three principles guide us because as AI inevitably explode the sheer volumes of integration being created in the world, the ultimate winner, we believe, won't be the company that just builds pipes the fastest. Adding AI to a legacy iPaaS, we think, just creates technical debt faster. Tavio is fundamentally different. By sticking to this path, we provide definitive governance layer to secure the AI accelerated enterprise. We want to ensure that as integration explodes, company can scale their data ecosystem without accidentally building an unmanageable iceberg or creating any compliance issue. So our architecture guarantees that the infrastructure remains entirely secure, observable, and production ready. And this is what guides, this is our North Star. This is what guides how we work. Thank you to all of us. And with this, we will now open it for Q&A.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay. I don't see any live questions in the Q&A, and so I'll go to some that we had submitted earlier. Okay. So with Tavio enabling non-developers to build solutions, how does your platform enforce governance and security in a way that's going to satisfy IT departments?
Do you want me to take that one, Paul?
Sure, yeah.
So centralized IT just needs control by, the IT needs control and then business needs speed. So we resolve this. We believe that, our approach with the studio and the hub definitely will help with that. And then we have separate role for each of them and in control. And again, with our control of data, with our governance and data, we can already know what data runs to which environments. We already have the framework for all the permissions to who can view, edit changes through that. So so only engineering can change integration code versus business can own the configuration portion. So and then with strict isolation. So we're solving this with our architecture natively and with our 3 stars that we're going with our compliance. So I hope I'm answering the question.
Yeah. I see one here. We've got one submitted. How does Tavio's approach to agentic differ from a generic LLM wrapper, especially when handling sensitive enterprise data?
So first, our agentic will be applicable within our framework. So I guess, again, we do already provide the entire framework to control and distribute integration, and then agentic will be applied within that framework. So optimization of existing workflows, and then we will control basically with the scope of everything. So an agentic deployment will be very controlled within a specific environment or applied to specific workflow. So it will not be able to change anything and will apply the same level of permissions to make sure that it's whatever the agentic can do will be limited in version. So it will, if it does any changes, it'll go through an approval cycles, we'll need to go through a human in the loop for approval and everything.
Great, thank you. And thanks for that question. We've got one last one here. Again, referring to having non-technical users working in the hub. When non-technical users build workflows, how does the platform handle error catching, testing, and debugging before the solutions go live?
Sure. So, we separate developer environments right in the studio from the business owner. So, and data is a configuration. So, but developers can build core logic in the studio and can run to. There's no code fork or anything. So we Of course, there's system testing. Everything will be done by the developer, but even when if you're applying a configuration logic or changing your data, business will have access to all the errors and everything and be able to troubleshoot. And now we're building our AI capabilities for data mapping and changes. So it'll be actually AI assisted. So AI will be able to do those config change and provide live errors as they troubleshoot to help the actual business to do the proper mapping, make sure it's against the system, and run basically any types of testing that is required by the business. And all this logged within our environment, for which we have data health logs executed. So everything done by business and or AI will be tracked.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff. With that, I would like to thank everybody for attending on behalf of our team at Tavio. You can scan this QR code and we will send you the recording thereafter if you'd like to scan the QR code another time. It will take you to our roster of blog articles of hopefully some of which should be of interest to you. And as Sharon invited you at the beginning, if you would love to have a follow-up briefing with us, please reach out to Sharon or somebody on the Tavio team. We appreciate you very much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.